Good evening, everyone. My name is Tom Foster, and this is Talk of the Town. Tonight, I'm joined with Iris Dunham, who's my editor, producer, filmer, everything that goes into making a film. Iris is there for me. You know, this show is sort of focused on Clinton and all the positive things about Clinton and some of the things you might not even realize we have right here in Clinton. There's a lot of hidden gems, whether it be people, places, or things. And one of the things that we all should realize is that where we are today is because of our heritage. And if we don't understand our heritage and how we got here, I think that goes a long way in telling us what we are as human beings and also what the next future might hold for us and our children and grandchildren. So to talk about, I think, a real gem in our town that a lot of people aren't aware of is we have a museum right here in Town Hall. And to sort of walk us through the theory behind this museum, to talk about some of the things you're going to see, we have the curator of the museum. Her name is Ann Baker. So Ann, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now Ann, let's first of all talk about you. What brought you to Clinton?
Well, my family and I moved here from Hamden back in 1995, and what we were looking for was really just a small, nice town to raise our family. And the kids have had a great time here, you know, playing sports, great community. So we've really just enjoyed living here.
Now, did your kids go to Morgan?
Yes, they did.
And as my camera is a Morgan person, 4 years at Morgan, 2 years as a class president. So Morgan's a great part of this community.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now tell me how you became involved with the museum.
Well, you know, I wanted to give back to the community a little bit. My kids have grown now, and so I joined the Historical Society. And I wanted to become an active member of the Historical Society, and so there was an opportunity here to, you know, manage the museum room. And I think I love the history of this town. There's so much history in this small little town that we have. And it's been a learning experience for me. It's been great meeting new people in town, and I just really enjoy it.
Now, we're in Andrews Town Hall. Now, explain me a little history about Mr. Andrews.
So Mr. Andrews was a banker that actually worked in Hartford. He lived here in Clinton, and unfortunately he passed away in 1936. But before he passed, in his will, he left money for the town to actually build a town hall for us. But he left very specific instructions on what this town hall needed to have in it, and one of those elements was a museum room, which we're very fortunate to have. The other thing was that he wanted the town hall to have a Freemason lodge, an auditorium. He really wanted to be used for the purpose of local government as well as the community use. So the town hall got built and was dedicated in 1938, and it's been here ever since. And obviously the exhibits that you'll see have evolved over time, but for the most part they've stayed relatively, you know, somewhat the same, in that it takes you through the history of the early Native Americans that settled here, as well as, you know, our involvement in the War of 1812, and then our education, our agriculture, etc. So,
now you mentioned the War of 1812. Clinton was actually founded, was in 1633?
I believe so, yeah, 1663.
No, initially, wasn't it Clinton, Killingworth? There was some sort of a relationship there.
Right, so early on, the town was called Hammonasset Plantation, which later evolved into Kenilworth, which then evolved into Killingworth, and now it's Clinton.
Now, the question I have is, this room is beautiful, and I look
is.
around and see the exhibits and whatnot. And so tell me about how this progresses. So if someone were to come in here for the first time and they wanted to really learn about the history of Clinton,
right.
So they'd start, there was a map of Clinton over here.
Right, it
Okay.
starts with the map of the town of Clinton. And
So this first one is the first settlers. Now, who were the first settlers of Clinton?
so the Native Americans were the first settlers, you know, going back to, you know, the Mohegans and who were the other people? The Pequots, you know. So they were the early settlers, and you can see on display here that we have lots of arrowheads, some of their tools that they used to forage, things like that. The clay pot is just an example of an artifact that was actually found near our post office, how they made clay pots back then. How they used the moon to tell time.
Wow.
Is also there.
So that's the first Timex.
Yes.
we progressed from here. Now, it's interesting. I live in on Indian Drive in Clinton.
Yes.
And from what I understand, that used to be an Indian burial ground.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
An Indian burial ground. Matter of fact, my house is actually built on an Indian burial ground.
Oh, wow.
And as a matter of fact, if you go over there, where I live on Indian Drive, that used to be the first Clinton Country Club.
Yes, yes.
And my friend Rich lives in the actual clubhouse.
Oh, okay.
So it's amazing to see how that's progressed.
Yeah.
Now it's out at 145. But it's interesting to see how that history actually evolved.
Right.
So we leave the first settlers, the Hammonets and Mohegans, and then what do we come to over here?
Yeah, so over here is where we actually talk about how the town name was born.
Okay.
Like I said earlier, it was Hammonasset Plantation, and then it got changed to Kenilworth. And that's because there was a fellow by the name of, let me see what his name was. It's here somewhere, but he came from Kenilworth, England.
Wow.
And so that's how we took the name Kenilworth. And this is actually a fragment of the Kenilworth
Maybe ours did.
Abbey.
Oh.
Yeah,
Now,
because for our 300th anniversary, they actually sent us that fragment.
Wow.
Yeah,
So that's actually from England.
yes, it is.
That's why. Now what is this device right here?
So this is just what a surveyor would use to plot out land. And so that's just, this is a map showing how the surveyors plotted out land back in the day.
So my house would so if we went back in the archives, my house would be somewhere back in there.
Right,
Wow.
right.
Interesting. Now what do we have over here?
This is just showing you now and then what the town used to look like, Main Street used to look like, and then if you flip it up, this is what it looks like, more recently.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and that's Commerce Street. Wow. So that just shows you that. And then here, this is some dinnerware that was used back in the 1800s. Which is obviously all pewter, and that was donated to the Historical Society.
Nice. So that's then and now. And for those of you that are watching this, I really encourage you to come up and look at some of this information. Obviously the show cannot capture the true essence of this museum, but please come up and enjoy it. And what are your hours of operation?
So right now we're open every Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. We also try to open whenever the town hall is open for like special occasions, like we were just open on Sunday for Christmas in Clinton. So a lot of people came through, and because the town hall was open, they were coming through for other, events. So it was nice to have those people welcomed in.
Now, is there any charge to come through?
No, absolutely not. It's absolutely free.
That's phenomenal. Just like this is free, the George Flynn concert series, which you did a show on, that's free as well. And again, it came from a person, George Flynn, who donated money to the town specifically for the arts, and that's similar to what Mr. Andrews did.
Right.
So it's nice to know we have those type of benevolent people in this town that want to create a legacy, and as you can see, this legacy continues and lives on.
Right, absolutely.
And that's got to, when you walk in here as a curator, that's going to make you feel good to know, wow, I'm part of something that's growing, an entity that's
Yeah.
continuing to grow. And it's
Yeah.
not only the building, but it's the people that come
Yeah.
through here.
Yep.
So that's going to give you a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Great. So let's go on to our next period here.
Okay.
Oh, I like this.
So then, this is a huge hearth that's been here since day one, never used, of course, but it just does show you the type of fireplace that would have been used back in the day to cook over, to heat the home.
Now, what is this ancient relic we have right here?
So that actually, we have a DVD in there that plays to kind of, you can sit down and watch the DVD if you want.
Is it on continuous play?
It is. You can sit and watch it. It's about the town.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah.
let's continue on. So this is Clinton and the Nation. So
Yeah.
tell me about that.
So this is where we kind of talk about the War of 1812 and our participation in it, and some of the artifacts that were found in the harbor area. England was, what's the word? We were at war with England. Okay. Yeah, we were at war with England, and there were several attacks on our harbor, and the Clinton military had to, or, they had to fight off the British in the harbor.
Is that an actual weapon from them at that time?
Yeah, it is.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, who are some of these characters we see? Not characters, but people in front of
Yeah, so these are just some folks that,
We're part of the war. We're part of the war.
yeah, I guess, revolutionary, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the,
Interesting.
so we do try to keep our veterans in mind, and we keep a log of veterans that have fought in prior wars.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
not only,
And does this keep up to date? I mean, do you have like the Vietnam War and the World War I and World War II? Are they also in there?
yes,
Oh, that's
they
nice.
are, yeah.
So how often do you update it?
Whenever we can.
Oh,
To be honest, I work full-time, this is not,
I totally
so,
understand.
yeah, so we're constantly, trying to update things,
You
but,
know what else is interesting when you look in here and you look at that sword and you look at that hat? It's amazing how much smaller the people were back in those days.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone to the USS Constitution?
yeah, many, many years ago.
And the beds are like this big, and
Yeah.
you realize, wait a minute, those people are so small. And if those people ever came back today and saw the behemoths of some of the people here, like Hulk Hogan or something like
Yeah,
that, they'd probably pass
yeah.
out. That can't be a real human being. It's got to be some sort of an artistic rendition.
Right.
So it really is. It's very interesting. Okay, let's continue on.
So this is an original mile marker that was right here on Main Street. It says 25 miles to NH, which is New Haven. So if you were in your horse carriage, whatever, it was 25 miles. So that's an original, and out there is a replacement replica out there.
Now, is there one, 'cause I've seen that the replica out in
Yeah.
front. Do they have those markers every 25 miles?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah, because I saw
I
that.
don't-
So I wonder if somebody was
Yeah.
going like to Westbrook, is there something there and then
Yeah.
beyond?
I don't know.
So
I
it's,
don't know.
But and that's an actual relic.
Yeah.
And how far back do you think that goes? Does it mention it?
No.
Okay. Okay, not a problem.
We'll have to research that one.
Yeah, okay, not a problem. Okay, so we come over here and wow, this is a drum.
One of the things I want to do is actually set up an easel with the information about the Clinton Drum Corps,
Yep.
because it did exist and there were fellows in it, and I just want to, add more to it. But that was donated, and I think it's really a cool thing.
It is a cool thing.
Yeah.
Now, do you have the things you bang it with?
No, I guess that would be too much of a distraction.
little kids coming in while their parents are looking here.
Yeah.
Kids be banging on it. And this is about the maritime trade?
Yeah, so Clinton was a big shipping area, fishing and shipping. And in addition, obviously farming was very popular, dairy farms, and now we have Chamard, growing grapes. So, things have really evolved.
That's nice. And I know Chamard's is a wonderful vineyard, and
Yeah.
and you don't live too far from there.
I do not.
Oh, so that's
Yeah.
nice. But it's,
Great
again,
place to visit.
but again, it's so nice to know we have places. We go to California, we tour all these vineyards, and we actually have a great vineyard trail right here in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And Chamard is part of it, and it's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Part of the Connecticut Wine Trail, right.
It's just nice to know we have that here. Now, what are these crazy looking instruments over here?
So, people would be surprised to know that Clinton actually has one of these axe-making, what is it? The curved handle of an axe, the irregular wood-turning device is actually in the Smithsonian.
Wow,
I know, yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah, so it was developed here, and it's in the Smithsonian.
Yeah, that's another thing. People don't understand all the cool things we have here in Clinton. Like, for example, we've done stuff with the manufacturing coalition in town, and some of the manufacturers in town are world famous.
Yeah.
And it's so nice. And that's, I think, what the intent of this is. And it's to sort of highlight that, hey, don't go looking at elsewhere. Look at your own town first.
Yeah.
I say the same thing about the United States. Before you go over to Europe and you start exploring Europe, explore your own country. There's so many
Right.
fascinating things here. And I think Clinton's a good example of that.
Yeah.
And it is nice to know we have dedicated people like you that are willing to devote their time to taking care of this place, making it nice, making it warm and inviting to people. And so again, I'll give you a lot of credit for doing that.
Oh,
And
thanks.
this is definitely something that everybody should be coming here and exploring. Now, what else do we have over here? The education, which is very important.
Education. So education has always been important in town, obviously, and so we have a little display of all the prior schools here in town. Many of them were one-room schools, and you'll see that obviously some of them have evolved. Here is Morgan, right? So that was the original.
There's
Morgan
Iris. There's
School.
Iris in the window waving to us.
Then this one that, got demolished a couple years ago, and then this is the new Morgan School.
And again, it's so interesting and fascinating to look at the evolution. And it's also interesting to think about the evolution of education.
Yeah.
What they were educating people on then and what they're educating people on now.
Right.
It's rather fascinating.
Right,
And
right.
so this is the whole history of the educational process here in
Right,
Clinton.
where they were located in town, and
Nice.
obviously they were pretty spread out because kids were walking to school back then.
Right, exactly. And, they say today, I was walking 6 miles to school in the snow,
Right.
uphill both ways, right?
Right,
Now they
I've
just
heard those stories.
Now they just take their cars. So this is an initial, an original Morgan banner?
Yeah, yep,
Nice.
yep.
And this explains the whole thing of the educational process.
Right. So another thing that people will be surprised to hear is that Yale University started in Clinton. Yes. So Abraham Pearson was the president of Yale at the time. Well, he was involved in education here in Clinton, and he became Yale's first president, and the first classes at Yale University started here in Clinton.
And then then it left from here, it went to New Haven?
Went to New Haven, yeah. Yeah.
So again, very famous Ivy League school started right here in Clinton. And where was the initial school? Right in this building?
No. It was over near where the original Morgan School was.
Oh, okay.
Right, in this building right here.
Oh, okay.
That's where
That's where Yale University.
That's where the first classes were held.
Wow, fascinating. Wow. So that was actually a college, and these are of course two high schools. Right.
yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, what is this uniform over here?
So this is just one of the first fire department uniforms
Okay.
that we have that was donated to us. So
And-
maybe in the future we'll do a whole display or an exhibit on the fire department and its history. Maybe we'll do that.
Now, what are these relics we see here?
Yeah, so these are just explains some of the generous benefactors that we've had in town and some of the religious, churches that we've had here in town or we do have in town. So
Nice.
yeah,
Now-
so this will develop. Well, we're going to change this up a little bit in the future, but
Nice. Now, tell me about this display that's in back. Now, what we've just gone through, these are permanent walls.
Correct.
So these things continue. And you said in the middle section, we have something that is changed every year.
right.
So let's take a quick walk over there. If Iris would come with us. And what is the current setup? What are we highlighting now?
So this is an exhibit that we've done for the Jephthah Lodge 95, which is the Freemason Lodge that's upstairs on the 3rd floor. So many people don't know that, number one, that they're up there, number two, that we have a Mason Lodge here in town. And what is the whole secret, the whole mysterious secret behind the Masons? So, when I was researching it, I was really amazed about, number one, their history and what a charitable organization it is. So I worked with John Main from the lodge, and he helped get a lot of the exhibits that are here, or a lot of the pieces that are in the case, and he helped with the history of it. So it was really fun to put together, and I think people, when they come and see it, that they'll learn a lot about the Masons just like I did.
Now, when I was looking a little bit about the museum, there's also, you talked about the War of 1812.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do we get involved in that, and where are the things that show the War of 1812? Do we have,
That's over in the corner there.
the corner.
Yeah, where we were.
where did the war actually take place?
In the harbor, right at the harbor, right kind of like where the beach is there.
It's amazing. When you think about the War of 1812, if you're in some other part of the country, you never really focus on it being right here in Clinton, in the harbor.
Right
That's
at the end of Waterside Lane, right?
That's where Iris is a lifeguard, and so just little did she know, she was now protecting it from battleships.
Yeah,
How long did the War of 1812 last?
3 years.
3 years. So for 3 years, we were under
Siege.
siege
Yeah.
right here in the harbor.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, think about that, ladies and gentlemen. This town, this is a gem. And people, I think they take things for granted, I think, often, don't you think, Ann?
I do.
And so rather than take things for granted, come out and see this, because it's very enlightening. And, because we obviously have to go through this rather quickly for purpose of filming, but how long would it take to really get a feel for what's happened here in Clinton if somebody wanted to come in, like, during the hours?
I think less than an hour, in all honesty. I mean, it really is, just a self-guided tour. You can spend as much or as little time as you want. You can come back multiple times, obviously. But come by and visit and learn a little bit about town. The one other thing I wanted to mention to you, I don't know if you've noticed when you came into the town hall, but there is a nautical theme here at the town hall. Right. When you come into the main foyer, there's a huge compass on the ground, on the floor and the foyer, and then the drinking fountains, the water fountains, all have these beautiful gold oyster shells. Wow. Well, if you look up at our ceiling, it actually looks like the inside of a ship's hull.
Really?
Yeah. Those beautiful beams.
Wow, it really does.
So it kind of goes with the whole theme of the town hall, which I thought was really kind of...
So we're just sailing right through history, right, Ann?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It kind of goes with a lot of the shipping that was done here in town.
Now, I also noticed when I look at about the museum, it's open from, what were the hours again?
5 to 7 p.m. on Thursdays.
And you said it can be opened by appointment?
Yep.
So if someone wants to bring a group of school kids here or high school kids, how would they go about doing
Just
that?
contact the Historical Society, and we can make arrangements for somebody to be here.
That's great. And will somebody of your caliber be here to sort of explain what's going on?
Sure. We can make that happen.
Good.
Yeah.
So you can get the superstar of the museum right here, right here. Now, how did the Clinton Historical Society, how did that come about? Been around for a while, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah. And how long have you been part of it? You said 3 years?
3 years.
Wow. So you went from just as a volunteer, as a member of the Historical Society, and then how did they decide Ann's the person we need to be the curator of that museum?
You just have to express an interest. Express an interest, participate, get involved, get to know people, and we're all in this together, and
right.
It's just a great group of people to work with.
And that's the other thing I've noticed in doing these interviews and traveling around town and talking to interesting people like yourselves. There's so many great volunteers in this town, and so many people are willing to step up to the plate, raise their hand, and say, "We want to be part of this." And I think that's another thing that I think sets Clinton apart. Because a lot of towns, I'll let him do it, let her do it. But here in Clinton, we have the placemakers, and they volunteer to do all sorts of things in town. I think that's what really makes Clinton special, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
And how many people are how many people are on the commission with you? Historical Society.
The board has about 15, 20 of us, but there's 140 or so members.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, so there's quite a bunch.
And so it's pretty active.
Yeah, we really do try to come up with new events to do every year, bring people into the museum as well as Old Brick, which we have down at the end of Main Street, to get people involved.
Now, besides this museum, you've had Old Brick, that the Historical Society also controlled. Are there anything else? Is there anything else in town that the Historical Society is involved in?
Well, they're on the Old Brick property. There's the Buell Tool Museum, as well as the library, which holds archives, as well as some photographs, things like that, with the town history. And the library's open every Wednesday from 9 to noon. Okay. That if you have any questions about your property or family or anything like that, they'll help you research it. Wow. Yeah.
So if I wanted to find out if I had any family members that were here, I could go to the Old Brick, the museum and library, and they could help me find that out?
Yes.
That's pretty good. It's almost like researching a title downstairs in the land use.
Yeah, but certainly, they can help you find something.
Wow. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier is that this is something that every town should treasure. Are there other towns in the area that have museums similar to this relative to their town?
I'm not aware of another town that actually has a room like this. Go to another town, they may have a bookcase or a showcase, but we are so fortunate to have an entire room this big to share the information, the history of our town. Really.
And like I said, that's what makes us special.
Right.
And that's why I think that what we're trying to do and talk to the town, myself and Iris, is to highlight these things, to let people know, hey, this is a great town. We got some great things. And like we said, rather than going here, there, or there, check out your own town first. Would you agree?
Right.
So if somebody wants to wants to get involved in the Historical Society, okay, because they really have a love for history like you do and the members, how would they go about doing that?
Just you can reach out to me, you can reach out to the Historical Society by email. we also have, you can actually have a website, you can become a member right online, you know, express your interest, what activities you'd like to get involved in. We'd love to have you.
That's great. So as you look in that camera, and if you want to tell the town people that are watching this, hopefully some people will watch it, what would be your message to the town relative to the museum, the historical society, and what this means to you and what it should mean to the town?
I would say stop by on a Thursday, anytime between 5 and 7 p.m. Take a look at the room, take a look to see what this town has for history. If you have an idea for an upcoming exhibit, I'd love to know about it. You never know, we're open to ideas. So come by and visit, and I think you'll be happy to see what you learn.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, Ann, to give us this little tour and give us some background about the history of Clinton. And I hope you and your family have a happy and blessed holiday season and a prosperous New Year's. And to all of you, we'll be doing a couple of shows before Christmas. But again, be part of the town. Be a volunteer like Ann, because that's what makes Clinton great. That's what makes us as human beings. We should have, in this town, we have more givers than there are takers, and that's important. So, Ann, thank you again so much for taking your time. Wish you the best of luck. Thank you, Iris. As usual, Iris has been walking around trying to get all these great shots. But again, I thank you very much for watching the show today. This is Tom Foster, along with Iris Dunham and Ann Baker from the Clinton Historical Society, the curator of our beautiful museum. And I thank you for watching. We hope to see you on another upcoming show. And if you have any ideas about shows that you'd like to see, or places in town, or people you think we should cover, just give us a note, send us an email to iris.dunham@clintonpublic.net. So thank you very much. Have a great day. If we don't see you before the holidays, happy holidays, everybody.